Good morning. Y'all ready this morning? Hey, today, all right. Hey, today is September the 17th, and we are hearing a revocation case at St. Mary Parish Jail. Today on the panel with me is Chuck Thiels to my left, to my right, Sandy Barra. My name is Jerry Ledoux. I'm going to be chairing. And we are supposed to be hearing Timothy Humphrey there.
Yes, hold on. I'm trying to get the camera to pick him up. You might have to come sit on this side, Kevin. Come sit on this side. Have a seat. Anywhere, makes you comfortable.
Hey, good morning. Today we have in support at Baton Rouge. We don't have to do this. Oh. I did. So Jan, it's on. And who is at St. Mary there in support?
Yes, this is Lieutenant Benoit.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Mr. Humphrey, you're before the parole panel. My name is Jerry Ledoux. To my left is Mr. Thiels. To my right is Mr. Barra. Have you received a piece of paper that you signed stating that you were not eligible for appointed counsel? Do you have that piece of paper there in front of you?
Yes, ma'am.
You see your name?
That's gotta be the
The technical revocation, eligibility checklist.
That one right there.
oh,
You
no,
see that?
this-
That
Yes,
is a document you refuse to sign. However, let's just go through that checklist. Can you read and write?
a little bit. Yes, ma'am.
Have you been treated for mental health problems in the last couple of years?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you understand the parole violations against you?
No, ma'am.
No?
No, ma'am.
Do you want to speak on your own behalf?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what you're saying is that you do not need appointed counsel?
Yes. Oh, yes, ma'am. I do.
You want appointed counsel?
Like to help me go through, like reading all it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so have you had medication for mental health problems
Like before.
in the past 5 years?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And you can understand and read and write?
A little bit.
Okay. So I don't find you to be eligible for counsel. So we're going to go ahead and proceed with the hearing. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Humphrey, you are currently a ninth felony offender, and you were detained on July 18th, 2024 for several allegations. I'm going to read the rules that they say you violated. I need you to say whether you're pleading guilty, guilty with a statement, not guilty. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First is violation number 3. You left the state of Louisiana on or about 7/13/2024. You traveled to Port Arthur, Texas, where you were arrested by the Port Arthur Police Department and charged with assault causing bodily injury on a family member. And you were subsequently transported back to Louisiana. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Were you found in Port Arthur, Texas?
Yes, ma'am. I had an altercation and I had to go to Port Arthur, Texas jail. And the days I was in there, no charges was picked up. So they transported me back to Louisiana.
Okay, just a minute. Let's talk about, we're going to talk about the charges in a minute. But you're telling me that you were not in Port Arthur. You're saying you're not guilty to being in Port Arthur.
No, ma'am, I'm not saying that. I was in Port Arthur.
Okay, all right. So you're pleading guilty to that part. Okay. Number 4, you engaged in criminal activity on 7/13/2024 when you were arrested by the Port Arthur, Texas Police Department and charged with assault causing bodily injury on a family member. How do you plead to that?
Not guilty.
Not guilty to that. Okay. And number 10, you're currently in arrears of your ordered parole fees of $756. How do you plead to that?
I didn't have no money to pay my parole, but that's why I was trying to go to Texas to get a job. For the hurricane, they had some jobs I was supposed to go attend to, but like that's why.
Are you in arrears though currently? You know you're behind.
Yes, ma'am. I had told my parole officer, he told me I had to get on it. Like when I go see him, he'll tell me I have to pay, but I'm like, I'm not financially stable. I'm trying to get a job now. So I got emails in Texas when they send me to go work. That's why I'm saying, ma'am.
So let me just ask you a question. I've been assigned to do the preliminary question.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Let me ask a question. Do you have evidence that you had permission to go to Texas?
No, man, I was like, before I went to Morgan City, the clerk office, the jailhouse and the courthouse to go let my PO know that I had jobs emailing me, but he wasn't there. So I went to Berg after that to see if he was over there. Like I go every month to see him, but like I didn't have the money, so I just go see him and there'll be my money to visit. But before like I went, I tried to let him know he wasn't in. I guess he was on vacation because it was around like June, July, something like that. I was trying to tell him like I was going down there for like to see if I could get a job and stuff, but he wasn't in.
All right. Let me ask you this. Since you have been on supervision, other than this case in Port Arthur, have you had any other problems on supervision?
No, ma'am.
So you were not already arrested for simple battery while you're on this supervision period?
That was a jailhouse charge, yes, ma'am.
Do either of my colleagues have any questions?
I just see something in there that says you were arrested in Lafayette Parish too. What's the status of those charges in Lafayette Parish right now?
That's what I'm on papers for probation. That's what I'm on probation for. That was in 2022.
Mr. Humphrey,
Thank you. That's the only question I have.
you're a 9th felony offender? 9th. You're 35 years old. You should have by now figured out what causes you to come back to prison, right?
Ma'am,
You should be figuring out what's causing you to come back to prison. You're a 9th felony offender.
I've been staying out of trouble. Like the altercation, like I didn't do nothing. Like I don't have no charges pressed against me on that.
You were in Texas without permission. You have to have permission to leave the state. Okay, I don't find any excuse on that, all right? I find that you're guilty, on number 3. And that's all I need to do is find guilt on 1. So, we're gonna go ahead and vote on this case. My vote today is to revoke your parole. Mr. Tillis,
I concur.
Mr. Obama.
I concur for the same reason.
Okay, so because you absconded supervision, we're revoking your parole, okay? Thank you. There. Thank you. Good morning. This is the Louisiana Board of Parole. We're at headquarters in Baton Rouge. Today is September 17th, 2024. The time is 9:12. And sitting on the panel to my left is Chuck Thiels. To my right, Danny Barra. I'm Jerry Ledoux. We are at BAYOU for a revocation hearing. Staff today in support. Okay, staff there at BAYOU DORCHEAT. Who do we have there in support?
You got Major Culpepper.
Thank you.
Jason Johnson. I'm the program manager for Steve Fulgham.
Thank you, Jason. All right, I'm going to allow the offender to introduce their name and their DOC number.
My name is Jason Thiels, DOC number 710643.
Thiels, you may remember me.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Remember you too.
Yes, ma'am.
Surprised to see you back here today.
Likewise.
So, Mr. Thiels, you were not revoked by this panel, and you were given the special condition in lieu of revocation to attend the Steve Hoyle Intensive Substance Abuse Program to address one of the reasons that you were arrested, and that was for meth. And this special condition, it says that that you determined that you would not participate in that program. Is that correct?
No, ma'am, it's not that I did not want to participate in the program. I was doing all of my work, and I have all my work with me to prove that I was doing my work. I only had an issue with one issue with the program, which is in the MRT book, where it said that we have to stand in front of a bunch of inmates and the county and the director and give a verbal testimony that is not my testimony. And it states in the very first sentence where I have to state that I've been disloyal, dishonest, and disrespectful to others and then stuff like that. And then when I went to the director to talk to if there was a way we could get around that, because I'm not a drug dealer. I've only done drugs a few times in my life. I'm a very successful business owner and businessman. And when I talked to them, they told me that if I didn't want to do the program, then I was going to have to get out. So I just signed out. I mean, I can't argue with the people, but there was nothing done to help me. I have all my books here to prove that I was doing everything that they wanted me to do in the course. I just had an issue with one issue with it. And I've been here 4 months now. I've been down for 13 months. I was arrested August the 15th of 2023, December the 12th, 2023, the state dropped my charges. In March 20th, I came before you guys and you guys offered the program. I said I didn't have a problem with the program, whatever y'all wanted me to do. I just needed to make this where I could get out. I didn't get here until May the 28th. I was shipped to BAYOU DORCHEAT. I didn't start a class until July 16th of 2024. And August the 23rd is when I went to the counselor and talked to him about the issue that I had about this. I didn't want to stand in front of a bunch of inmates and tell some lies. And I was pretty much told by one of the teachers, well, just fake it till you get through it. And I didn't want to do that because I'm here for a proper counseling. And then on January the 9th of last year, my 2015 Z71 pickup truck was stolen from my home. I got a call just Friday from Ouachita Parish up here saying that my $70,000 sports car was trying to be stolen by someone at my home. I'm just asking for the parole board to please just lift the hold and put me back on supervision so I can go home and tend to my business and start my business back. That's all I need.
No, you're pleading not guilty to refusing to participate. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. I did not refuse.
So at this time, I'm going to ask the program director to have a say, and then we'll have Mr. Barras going to start the questioning. Jason?
Sure. MRT is a regular part of our program. It's something I had to take to be able to teach it. The step that we are requiring of every offender who comes to this program, both here and at Bossier, is a step that everybody does. I met with Mr. Thiels personally to explain that because of his in lieu of revocation situation, he had to meet all the criteria of all the classes that he takes. He can't pick and choose which ones he would like to do. And I made sure he was aware that if he did not want to do this, that he was refusing to be in the program. And I would draw your attention to the fact that he did sign a refusal form that should have been sent to the board. So that's all I have to say.
Go ahead, Mr. Barra, and begin questioning.
Mr. Fields, is there anything that he just said that you don't recognize? Or, I mean, do understand that when you go to a program like this, you don't get to pick and choose what sections you participate in. The parole board expects you to participate in all of them and successfully get a certificate to be released. That's what we expect of you and everybody else. And it seems like you knew it, you just didn't want to do that particular section.
It states here in the book that if you have an issue with this, then you can get with the counselor and have just an agreement with them and tell them your testimony, and you don't have to say it in front of a bunch of inmates or convicts or whatever. And it states in this book right here in page number 37, which is the confidentiality conflict in this book, that says the general rule about confidentiality is summed up by this simple statement: what is said in this group should stay in this group. There are serious consequences for violating this rule, but we're in front of cameras that these people do not control, that are audioed and videoed, and sitting in front of a bunch of inmates that I don't know what these people are going to take and turn around on me or whatever. But there is no other thing that is needed to be mentioned again in this. If there is something you do not want others to know, do not put it in this book. Books can be stolen and things can be manipulated, and there may be a thief or two around you, and there are some people that do not want to change. It's not that I don't want to change. I just had an issue with the one thing. If I could have gave my testimony to these two people in a setting that's not being videoed or something else, then it'd been different. I'm sitting in a class full of people. There's over 15 people that's been left here and expelled and even shipped from this facility for doing drugs in this place. This place is full of drugs and marijuana and meth and mojo. I'm just ready to go home, people. I haven't had any charges in 13 months. I don't got nothing against these people, and what they do is great, and it may help some people, but I don't have this issue. I'm a very successful business person, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to you or anybody else. But I've lost over $50-something thousand in 13 months. Should I lose the rest of my livelihood over something that could have been? He could have gotten with me and told me, okay, well, let's just sit down and you give us the testimony and we can move you along through the program. But no, they didn't want to do that. And I'm not here to argue with anybody, sir. I'm not here to argue with nobody. I need to go home or whatever it takes. And if I have to revocate myself, which I don't know if I need to or not, but I know 13 months due to the time that I've had, I'm way past being able to go. If I'd have revocated myself a long time ago, considering to doing the math, I would already be home already, and I wouldn't have lost the things I lost.
The real issue. That's the real issue, is you don't want to be there. You think you need to be released immediately. That's what I read in the report, that you feel like you would already be out on the street and that you do not want to continue the program because you think you're going to have an immediate release.
No, ma'am, that's not.
Do time computation. Those people behind you do not do time computation.
I understand that. Yes, ma'am, I know that. I'm not bucking nobody.
Your question?
I have one more question for the counselor.
Yes, sir.
What he's quoting out of the book, is that an option for him to have a private section on that?
No, sir. I'll point out that there was no part that he read that mentions a private section. The book does say that if you don't want something, do not read while I'm speaking. All right. The book does say if you don't want something to be stolen out of your book, do not write it in the book. It also does say that if you do not want people to know something specific, do not say it. We counsel everybody who comes to this program, don't mention your address, your girlfriend's address, her name, various things like that, right? We try to be very reasonable. We do not audio record anything here as far as classes go. I want to make sure that's very clear. So.
Statement. Mr. Jason,
Yes, sir.
say you want to leave,
Sir,
want to be released?
it's up to the parole board, sir. I'm asking to be justifiably done on my time and my situation and all the circumstances. I'm not denying anything. I told Miss Jerry last time when she asked me if I'd get some help, sure, I would get some help. I came here, I've been here 2.5 months, but I would like to be able to be put back under supervision so that I can prove to you guys that I'm not a problem. I'm not an issue that needs to be held in here when there's other people that can take up the vacancy that probably deserve to be in jail.
I understand, but there are rules and regulations that has to be followed. It's not rules and regulations that you determine. And the staff there have rules and regulations. If you want to get out of there, you need to follow those rules and regulations. That's my suggestion to you.
So at this point, we have heard from both of you and we've asked questions. I think Mr. Barra, are you prepared to vote?
I'm prepared to vote, but one more question for you.
Yes, sir.
You want to finish the program and go that way, or do you want to be revoked and get your time that you're serving figured that way? How do you want to do it?
I mean, I would go back to the class, but they're going to bump me back and make me sit here a couple of more months now. I mean, they're going to bump me further back on graduation when I was supposed to graduate December the 20th. But because, and it states in this book right here that if you don't pass this testimony, then you're supposed to be able to sit down with the counselors and do it. It's on page 48. It's right here in the book. What I just said, I didn't read it a while ago, but it's in the book.
Okay, look, I'm not there to just, the question wasn't tell me about everything that's in the book. Do you want me to revoke you so you can get your credit for time served and figure out when you get out, or do you want to go back to the class? I'll go either way.
Yes, sir. I want to be revoked so that hopefully my time will be calculated and I can get done what I need to get done.
All right, no problem. Today I vote to revoke the parole and rescind the previous order.
Yes, sir.
I concur.
And my vote is also to revoke. Mr. Thiels, your special condition has been revoked and you will go back into custody and time computation will be taken care of. Okay?
How long will this take, y'all? If I may ask.
We do not do time computation.
Yes, ma'am. That's fine. Thank y'all very much, and I'm sorry that I have wasted your time.
Not a problem. So that concludes our hearing there at BAYOU George at 9:25.
Have a good day.
They're all different. Right.
This is the Louisiana Board of Parole. We are headquartered in Baton Rouge. On the panel today, to my left is Chuck Tillis, to my right, Danny Balroff. My name is Jerry Ledoux. We are currently hearing an inmate at IBERIA Parish Jail. And who do we have there in, to support this process?
Right, it's
Staff.
Father.
Go ahead, staff, if you'll introduce yourself again.
She actually introduce yourself.
Deputy Romero.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to allow the offender to introduce yourself and give us your DOC number.
My name is Sean Alford. My DOC number is 744-819.
Okay. Mr. Alford, do you have a piece of paper in front of you that you have answered some questions regarding appointed counsel? Do you have a signed piece of paper in front of you with that information?
No, ma'am.
Okay, do you see that piece
Oh,
of,
I'm sorry.
do you
Yes,
see
ma'am.
that on the screen? That is your signature?
Yes, ma'am, that is.
Okay, so that means that you are not eligible for appointed counsel, and it doesn't look like you have retained counsel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read your supervision rule violations, and I'm going to ask you to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, or you can put guilty with a statement, but don't answer the statement until after we go through this. So condition of parole number 4 was violated. You failed to refrain from criminal activity by violating a protective order on 6/16/2024. Subsequently, you were arrested on 6/17/2024 by the IBERIA Parish Sheriff's Office and charged with violation of a protective order. On 8/14/2024, you appeared before Judge Bourne and you pled no contest to the charge, and you were sentenced to 9 parish jail and given credit for time served. How do you plead?
Guilty?
Okay.
I'm not understanding.
You can give us in a little bit. Let me finish the number 10. You also failed to make monthly payments towards supervision fees and are in arrears of $401. How do you plead to that?
It's correct, but may I make a statement upon that? Because
The statement. Okay, so and there's also another number 4. I see that you failed to refrain from illegal use of drugs or alcohol, and you tested positive for meth and amphetamines on 6/17/2024, following your arrest and booking into the IBERIA Parish Jail.
that's not the case. I would need to make a statement, but I'm not guilty.
Okay, not guilty. We have all the records, and we'll ask questions. Okay, we have
Thank
plenty of things that your case has been assigned to Mr. Tillis, and he's going to start by asking you some questions, and you can provide the information you want to.
Good morning, Mr. Alford. How-
Good morning, sir. I'm good. How are you?
All right, what happened? Your protective order. What happened to you?
Okay, when I received the protective order, I was incarcerated, and it was something that was going on basically between me and somebody, and the lady, we were talking on Facebook when I got out. We talked on Facebook, and then I started my own company. I started a business. I went and I had asked, I said, is it okay if I come back over there and pass out business cards? She asked the chief, and the chief told her yes. Well, I went and I passed out business cards. Well, then following that, they made a report that I was over there, and she seen it, said she got scared, but she also put on her report she never contacted me. I got in touch with my dad, got in my password to my Facebook, and he seen that messages had been deleted the day before she went and made the statement. The district attorney, Bo Dewey, and my dad had a meeting while I was incarcerated for 4.5 months last year. And he said, there's no reason for this man to ever have been charged with this. It is ridiculous. And he non-prossed all charges, released me, and I was free to go after that. Now, getting to this incident, it had been a year. I had no contact with her. I've seen her several times. When I seen her, I went the other way. Okay. Now the lady at my son's baseball game came up to me and said, you know that this lady was asking about you. She asked me, how you doing, this, that, and the other. So I went on Facebook and I text messaged the message. And, that's what I did. I did do that,
Hey, what about the drugs that you use? You violated?
Okay, as far as that, I was prescribed to amphetamine, which is Adderall. And there was a time when I've been on parole 4 years, have never had any failed UAs, anything. Well, I went and did a UA for my parole officer with a little cup. And it came positive for amphetamine and methamphetamine. I said, there's no way I'm on prescription for Adderall. They sent my results to a lab, or they sent me to a place to go take it. And the place where I went sent it to a lab, and it came back that it was the Adderall causing the false positive. And I brought the paperwork to my parole officer.
Hey, what about the arraignment in your pay while you're not paying?
Okay, I am paying, and I was paying. The arrears happened when I was incarcerated, so it put me in arrears back. I've been paying every month that I could pay, but it was due to me being incarcerated for the 4.5 months, and then whenever I got out, having to find another job.
I see. On the first charge about the protective order, you're saying that you had no contact with her?
Sir?
On the protective order, you had no contact with this person? You didn't violate that?
No, sir. It was all that it was a text message over Facebook.
I see.
And it was. I'm sorry.
You pled guilty to that?
Yes, sir, because I didn't know what was going on, and I have kids, and so I'm trying to get back out to my kids. And I was trying to get this over with as fast as possible, just and get out, because people were saying I would be in here for 6 to 9 months if I didn't get it over with. So
I see. I have no more questions.
Mr. Barrow?
I have no question.
I have one question. I read all of your, Ms. Woods, your probation officer, parole officer's notes. Did you ever provide a prescription bottle that had your name, a current date, and only that medication to her?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I brought each prescription that I had because I was prescribed multiple things, and
Go ahead.
and I was prescribed blood pressure medication, buprenorphine, Adderall, and lorazepam. And then since then, I had gotten off of certain medications, and I was only taking certain ones. But I did bring in those medications to her.
Is there any record of that?
On 5/5/2023, the offender reported to the office with Adderall, lorazepam, and the Subutex, all contained in a bottle of B12 vitamin. He did have the original bottles with him, but they were all mixed up in one bottle.
Can I say something?
He reported again in 12/12, but was not taking the medication at that time. She asked for a photo of the prescriptions, May 14, 2024, and you never provided that to her.
I mean, I don't even remember that. I don't even know anything about that, of her asking me for a photo. Anytime she asked me to do something, I did it. Now, when I brought the medications to her, it was because I work and I was running a business. Well, running a business, I have people that work with me. And so I would only bring the medications that I had for me for the day in a bottle. And I kept the rest of the prescriptions at my parents' house locked in their safe. And so when she asked me to bring all my medications, I thought she wanted to count them or something. You know, I thought maybe she wanted to count my medications. So I went to my parents. I asked them if I could get the medicine. That was the bottle that they were keeping them in their safe.
Okay. That answers the question for me. Mr. Phillips, are you prepared to vote?
Yes. For some reason, I believe you. And I'm going to vote, do not revoke.
Mr. Vargas?
Looking at the court minutes that say you pled no contest to the charge of violating a protective order, which is a serious violation, I'm gonna have to vote to revoke parole based on that.
And Mr. Fields, my vote is also to revoke parole based on your violation of a protective order. You had that other incidents in 2023, and I read all the notes about how your family worked and everything, but this is the second one. So my vote today is to revoke parole. Thank you so much. We're signing off at 9:43 there in IBERIA. Thank you.
Now,
Just don't have his own thing.
Thanks. Good morning. This is the Louisiana Committee on Parole, and we are headquartered in Baton Rouge. Today is September 17th, 2024, And we, on the panel today, have Mr. Chuck Tillis to my left, Mr. Danny Barra to my right. My name is Jerry Ledoux. We are hearing an offender at the State Police Barracks. And sir, if you will, would you please introduce yourself and give us your GOC number?
Okay, my name is Billy Fulgham, and my DOC number is 51 511 707. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's correct. Mr. Fulgham, you're before this panel today for a hearing. And going to read some information into the record, and then we're going to ask the people who are in support and opposition to you speak, okay? I find, sir, according to our information, you're a first felony offender. You are currently serving a 35-year, 3-month, 16-day sentence for 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder. You have a parole eligibility date, 7/23/2024, a good time date of 7/27/2033, and a full term date of 11/8/2039. Is that correct, according to what you understand?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Correct. Okay. I would like at this point to ask the staff to introduce yourself, and if you would have some comments about the offender before we go on.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Captain Patrick Washington, State Police Barracks. Billy's been here for 14 years, one of the longest standing offenders we have in the program. And what I can say about Billy is he's rock solid. To be here for 14 years is, number one, an extreme accomplishment. That means he's never done anything to get himself in trouble. Number two, never had to ask Billy twice to do anything. We change his job, he says no problem. We ask him to go and work extra, he says no problem. Billy is what I would consider a model employee. One, like I said, he's been here 14 years, and that is in itself an accomplishment. But the fact that his attitude, his personality, the way that he carries himself is exemplary. I visit the offenders at work quite often, and if Billy's not working, he's reading. And if you didn't know he was here, you wouldn't know he was here. He's just that good at what he does. And he's just, again, an exceptional person, not just an employee, but an exceptional person. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. At this time, we will go to Candace Greenwood, your sister, who's joining us via Zoom and would like to make comments on your behalf. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Candace Greenwood. I'm Billy Fulgham's sister. And first of all, I would like to sincerely apologize to the victims and their family. You guys have never left my mind since the evening this happened. My brother realized the severity of his crime 20 years ago and how it terribly impacted the lives of many people. I speak to my brother twice a week, and he has always been remorseful and has taken full responsibility for his action, realizing that the choice that he made is one that he'll mentally have to endure for the rest of his life. Billy doesn't take this day, this opportunity for parole for granted, but often speaks of someday integrating back into society and becoming a productive person. During his time at the police barracks, Billy has never been stagnant. He's busy reading countless books, continued his education, and always held a job. If granted parole, I ensure you, my brother has total support of his family, making sure he continues to stay on track. I'm confident he is fully committed to living life of integrity and making amends for his past actions. Again, I would like to apologize to everyone who was affected by my brother, as you will always continue to be in my prayers every day. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Greenwood. We'll go to Billy Fulgham Sr., the offender's father.
Good morning. My name is Bill Fulgham. I'm BJ. I'm going to say BJ, but we refer to him as BJ, but Billy's father. And I'd like to to acknowledge and I recognize his guilt and the tragic events that happened that day. And there's no amount of apologies that we can give this family to change anything at this point. But I dearly, we apologize for his actions. And I do believe at this point in time in his life that he has made amends and he's got to live with this, but he's made amends and I believe he's ready for this transition back into society. He has the full support of this family. And if allowed and given the privilege of parole, he will live with me and his stepmother in Olive Branch, Mississippi, where he will live in a stable, safe environment and with all the support resources he needs in order to transition back into society. So he has our full support, the entire family. His record in the DOC obviously has been impeccable. I talk to him as well once a week. He's very articulate and he's made that change. He's not what he was 20 years ago, but he understands, the impact he had on other people's lives, and that's something, like I said, he's got to live with. And I'm sure he'll do well if allowed and given the privilege to be paroled. So I thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you being with us. You have Mr. Andrew Hundley here in support, or on Zoom in support with the Louisiana Parole Project, and we'll allow him to address the board.
Thank you for your time. Louisiana Parole Project is here today to voice our support for Billy's petition for parole and commit to providing our program and reentry support to Billy. As Billy's father told you, he has a long-term residence in Mississippi. Shall he be released? Our organization's here today to, offer our support in whatever reentry plan you would like to allow. We're, our recommendation is a temporary stay in our reentry program, and upon completing the first phase of our program, that he would be allowed to go to an approved ICOTS residence in Mississippi. But our organization's also willing to provide Billy longer housing if the board sees fit for that. Our organization's also willing to support Billy from afar if the board decides to send him straight to Mississippi. We'll provide him peer mentorship and work with his family to connect to resources in Mississippi if you decide that's the best plan. As far as our organization's, screening Billy, just to reiterate something Captain Washington said that I think is worth repeating, it's pretty exceptional that Billy has been at the State Police Barracks for 14 years. It's the closest you can get to being free is at State Police Barracks as far as being incarcerated in Louisiana. Many people don't last that long because the temptation to violate rules is easy for many people there. While Billy has had a couple different jobs, he's always been a cook while he's been there. And I always point out that someone who's a cook in prison and can be a cook that long has very good patience and character, because it's one of the most thankless jobs that you can have in prison. The last thing I'd like to note for the board is we believe that at Billy's age now, he's at the sweet spot because of his cooking skills and some of the other skills he has. He's very employable right now, and we feel confident based on his reputation, based on his skill set, that he would be able to re-enter successfully, find a job, and be able to have stable employment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fulgham. We also have people here on Zoom that are opposed to the release. Two of them would like to speak. We're going to allow Linda Reynolds, the victim's mother, to speak first. You're on mute still? Okay.
Good morning. I'm Linda. I'm the mother of Ray S. Denny Jr., and yes, I oppose it. Ray When Billy shot Ray, Billy shot my whole family. Ray has, a host of family that loved him. They are the person he was. I still have a hole in my heart. Where my heart is supposed to be, there's a hole. Because never in life would I have believed that someone would shoot Ray in the back of the head. Ray just wasn't that type of person. Ray was a peaceful person. He met no strangers. He always looked for the good in people. Always a good son, brother, grandson, cousin, nephew. Ray fed the homeless. He had 3 people that he would feed daily, twice a day. And he was serious about it. Ray fed them the meal of their choice. And I would say, well, why can't we just give them something from here? And he said, that's not what they eat. And if he couldn't bring them their food, Ray would ask me to bring the food for him. And they wasn't all in the same location. They was in different locations. Ray didn't drive. He didn't want to drive. He was on the bus and did this. He would say, Mom, make sure when you bring them their food, make sure it's hot and make sure it's on time. A week before Billy shot Ray in the back of his head, Ray ran into him on Canal Street. And Billy, this is said from Billy, that he asked Ray to buy him a burger. Ray told him, no, man, I'm going to get you a plate of food, pick a restaurant. He went to the restaurant with Billy. He let Billy order the food. He waited and he paid for the food when it came out. And Billy said that Ray told him, well, I'll pay you back. And this was Ray. Ray said, no, he said, I get paid every Monday. He said, if I need money before Monday, I can go to my mama or my grandma and get the money. And he left. And Billy shot my son Ray for no reason. Billy has shown no remorse or feeling of remorse. Billy haven't shown anything. In court, it was just like he was in a store. He's at Winn-Dixie and he said, I want this, I want that, I want that. No feelings, none. And Judge Bigelow asked me, what did I want? Did I want a jury trial or did I want a judge trial? At that time, we have so many of our young Black boys that's in wheelchairs. They're in jail. They just fell by the wayside. And I said to myself, I said that if this was one of my children, I have 2 sons. I had Ray and I have his brother, Jonathan. I said, and I know how hard I work with them being a single parent. And I said that I would want someone to show mercy on them and to help them. Don't just throw the key away. And so I told him, I said, you know what I want? I said, I want what he took from my son. I said, he has stolen, Ray was 30 when we were in court. I said, he has stolen 30 years from my son, and that's what I want back. My son was like an infant. Ray had to learn everything again, how to talk, walk, eat, just everyday necessities. Ray had a love for walking, for playing video games. Ray had a love for working. Sometimes I had to call him and say, come home. You've been there long enough. He had a love for drawing. After Billy shot him in the back of his head, he couldn't do any of these things anymore. I still want justice for my son. I want Billy to finish the time given to him. 35 years and 106 days. He, Billy, agreed to this time. If more can be added, add more. I'm begging the criminal justice system to work for my son, Ray S. Denny Jr. Ray was an absolutely innocent victim.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your comments today. And I do want to recognize that I believe it's your sister, Rosina Reynolds is with you, Ray. Okay. And also we have Jonathan Reynolds, the brother of Ray, who would like to speak. You'll keep it to about 2 to 3
Good
minutes.
morning, everybody. One thing that's been left out the entire time that we've been talking, there were 2 victims. The other family, I guess, Mrs. Burse's family is here. I don't even know if Allen Burse is still alive. I don't know. Second thing that's being missed here, my brother is dead. So I understand that the actual charge was attempted murder. My brother died May 13th, 2022. We buried him May 31st, 2022. Normally when people die, you bury them within a week. We were not able to do that because he was being autopsied by the Orleans Parish coroner for those 2 weeks. I believe I sent the board the coroner's determination that this was actually a homicide. It was classified as a homicide. So we talk about full responsibility. We agreed to what full responsibility was all those years ago. We agreed that full responsibility was 30 years. We could have pressed for more with the DA's office. We did not. Billy Fulgham could have not accepted it. He could have went to trial. He did not. He accepted 30 years. I understand that the law in Louisiana has changed, and now we're able to revisit these things due to John Bell Edwards' work. Mr. Hundley, I don't know why his camera's off. That's okay. But hopefully he's listening. So I do understand what you're doing with your career, what you're doing with your organization. So the state has changed how we handle parole boards. I get that. Also, the circumstances of this case have changed fundamentally. The idea that the DA, if they wanted to, could reopen this case. I don't know how successful they would be, but the circumstances have changed, being that my brother has died and the coroner has classified his death as a homicide. So, Mr. Fulgham, I believe when we say full responsibility, we agree. Everyone in this room, I believe Fulgham Sr. wrote a letter, and he wrote a letter with an apology. You can't apologize and say full responsibility and then also try to change the terms of the deal. Apology not accepted. I didn't even want to be here today, but we talk about what Mr. Fulgham has done. He seems like he's in very good health. My brother was disabled, wheelchair bound. He had seizures throughout the rest of his life. He had no life enjoyment. He had no friends besides me and my mother. He was abandoned. We have not spoken with the Burse family since then. And he was unable to work. He was unable to earn. It affected my mom's livelihood. It affected my mom's mental health. It affected my livelihood. It affected my mental health. I had to move back to New Orleans to take care of him. That's why I'm back here. And now, at no point did I believe that I would outlive my brother. At no point did I think that he would be dead right now today. I went back to see his grave for the first time 2 days ago in contemplation of doing this meeting. And I had not seen it since the funeral. And the main thing that I just want to point out is full responsibility is what we agreed on all those years ago. You can't use words like full responsibility, regret, apology, and you're also trying to change the terms of the deal. So I get that the state of Louisiana has changed its rules on how parole is handled, but Billy Fulgham Jr. himself agreed to. This was not a jury. This was not a judge. He agreed to 30 years. We agreed to 30 years. We did not want to push the prosecution for more because there's different types of justice. There is a justice where it's like, what's fair, and we all agreed that this was fair. And then for us to be here today with us still grieving over my brother's death to this day, now we have to deal with this other issue of we thought that at least this part was settled. So you want to change it from 30 years to 15 years? The parole board has to do what it has to do, and I appreciate you guys' job, but you cannot apologize and say full responsibility, Fulgham family, and then also try to shorten the sentence. You got to pick one, and that's all I have to say.
Appreciate your comments. So this case has been assigned to Mr. Barra to ask some questions, but at this point, we'd like for Billy, if you want to say something. We've heard a lot of people talk about you, but we need to hear from you.
Okay, first of all, I would like to apologize through the board to Allen and her family. and to also Ray Denny's family for the crimes I committed. I completely destroyed their lives, and I took their peace and security away from them, and I left them psychologically, physically, and emotionally damaged. And I'm so sorry for what I did, and I take full responsibility, and there is no excuse. The crimes I committed were senseless, unnecessary, and unjustified. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about D. Allen and Ray Denny and everybody else involved, and how I negatively impacted their lives. I failed to address my drug addiction to cocaine. And because of that, I made a lot of bad decisions that ultimately led up to me making the worst decision of my life. At any time I could have got help from my mother, sister, or dad, but I failed to do that because of my pride and arrogance. And my life just spiraled out of control. I was irresponsible, and like I said, there's absolutely no excuse for what I've done. I left these people's lives in shambles, and a ripple effect that I caused can last a lifetime. I'm aware of the severity of the crime that I committed. I seen Ray Denny at my sentencing, and I got a firsthand look at just how much pain I caused his family when I seen him walk into the courtroom with a cane, and he was messed up pretty bad. And I'm just so sorry how I affected his life and took away everything from him. And he was a good person. I knew him for a long time, and I was friends with these people. And I betrayed them. And I could never do enough in prison. No matter how many programs I take, no matter how much good I do, I can never do enough to make up for what I've done. And whether I'm granted or not, I'm gonna continue to better myself and apply everything I learned from the victims awareness class I took, and just continue to apply it to real life. You know, be more compassionate to people and be able to identify with their pains, with their pain and joy. And I'm just so sorry for what I put this family through.
Thank you very much for those words. Mr. Barrow.
Just for the record, I'm looking through it and I do see where the judge noted per the plea agreement that he ordered it to be 30 years without benefit of probation and parole or suspension of sentence, just like she had said and he had said. But my only question is, why? Is there any reason? Yeah, I know you thought about this. Why did you have to shoot him? That was a bad split second decision, but can you answer that one or you can't?
The reason why I did that is because I was at the lowest point of my life, and I was on drugs at the time, but I was conscious of what I was doing, and I was just gonna take everything. On July of 2004, I arrived at D'Allen's apartment, and Ray Denny was there. And I hung out with them for several hours. I got there around 3 o'clock in the evening, approximately 3 o'clock. And I hung out with them for several hours. And at some point I asked D'Allen to give me a ride to a friend's house. But the only reason why I asked that is just so we can get in the car. I didn't really need a ride to a friend's house. That was just, to get them in the car. And I intentionally told her to take a certain route that would lead us to an area that wasn't well lit. It wasn't much traffic. And when we got to the stop sign, I shot Ray Denny and I turned the gun on D'Allen and shot her. And after that, I got out, I exited the vehicle, opened up the driver's side door and started taking D'Allen out of, started dragging her out of the car. And somebody passed by and they stopped and then they sped up. So I got scared and just left the area. I threw the gun in the woods. And I called a friend on the phone. Now he didn't know what was going on, nothing like that. I never told him, but I asked him to come pick me up. And he came and I told him to take me to my car. I actually had my car parked down the road outside the apartment complex. And he took me to my car and I drove to a friend's house, another friend of mine's house. And he had seen what happened on the news. So he was shocked, about what I did. And he called his mother. And his mother came to the house and she talked me into turning myself in. I followed her to her house and I sat there for a little while and they talked to me. And she called the police and I turned myself in. But I was just gonna take everything from them. It was a robbery. But I got spooked when I saw this person pass by and stop and speed off. And I acted like a savage that day. And I'm aware of the severity of my crime. And like I said, no matter how much good I do in prison, I can never make up for what I've done. And I'm just extremely remorseful. And I mean that. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because I can see the pain I caused this family and everybody else involved.
All right, that answers my question. Thank you. And then also for the record, somebody said they didn't know if D'Allen was still alive. She is still alive. She's not participating today because she didn't want to be re-traumatized, but she did write a letter, and she's been suffering the whole time too, dealing with fear and pain and just trying to live a normal life has been hard for her. And so she's still out there and she's still suffering too. Yeah. That's all the questions I had.
Mr. Tillis, do you have any questions to ask? At this time, the panel will vote. We'll begin with Mr. Barra.
Well, Billy, this is a hard case, one of the hardest ones I've had. And I do see the change and hear the documentation of the change. And I agree, you're not the same guy that you were back then. However, we got the victims still suffering, the victim's family still opposed, the judge reminding us that it's a 30-year deal. And so for that reason, I'm gonna have to vote to deny your parole today, even though you do have a great record based on the suffering and the deal that was put in place. And maybe as we get a little bit closer to 30 years, try again. And but congratulations on what you've done. You're doing a great job. I wish I could just reward you for it right now, but with all the other circumstances, the crime is just so serious. Sometimes people do things that are so serious that even what you've done isn't enough. And it's everything you can do. There's nothing else you can do. It's just a tough case. Sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Tillis.
Billy, I commend you for what you've done since you've been incarcerated. The state police has good comments on you. I can see the remorsefulness in you. I hope you continue. It was, and you answered the question in your statement that drugs, and I think it was drugs. As you said, you can do nothing, classes and all that. My vote's going to be to deny, but I wish you well.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Fulgham, it would be remiss of us to not provide you with the encouragement. I'm going to deny as well, but I'm telling you, it's because you've served, what, 20 years?
Yes.
Yeah. You've only been in 20.
Okay.
And really don't think there's anything else you can do. But I appreciate your conduct. I appreciate what you're doing, and encourage you to write back. Today, your request for parole has been denied.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
We're signing off there at the State Police Barracks. Thank you. You ready? Yes. Good morning. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is headquartered here in Baton Rouge in panels today. Today is September the 17th, 2024. On the panel today, to my left is Chucky Tillis, to my right, Danny Barra. My name is Jerry Ledoux. We are hearing a case at Dixon Correctional Institute. Could the staff there introduce yourself?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Assistant Warden Jason Allen.
Donald Cavalier, Classification Manager.
Ashley Brinkley Records.
Jamie Duvall, Mental Health.
Alvin King, Reissue Director. That's
Great.
all of.
Thank you. So the first offender we're going to be hearing there, could you, sir, introduce yourself and give us your DOC number?
Joseph Landry, DOC 509060.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Landry. I'm going to read some information into the record, after which time we will hear from the warden, and then we will, we have some people here in opposition to your release, and then Mr. Tillis will ask you some questions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I find, sir, that you are a second felony offender, that you're currently serving a 48-year, 9-month sentence for vehicular homicide and first-degree vehicular injury with classified as a habitual offender. You have a parole eligibility date that was 2/17/2019. You have a good time date, 11/4/2053, and a full term date, 10/30/2054. Does that sound correct according to your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
The read here. Warden, would you like to make any comments about this offender that we should take into consideration?
Yes, ma'am. I got this record here in front of me, and it pretty much speaks for him. He has no DB court write-ups since he's been here, and he's had completed numerous CTP-RP programs, has a GED, and has participated in numerous other programs and clubs and organizations throughout the prison.
What is his current custody level?
He's a medium.
Is there a reason why medium versus?
Due to his yes, but due to the amount of time he had.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. Mr. Landry, would you like to address the board?
Yes, ma'am. I have a past that involved drugs. I made some bad decisions. I hurt some innocent people. I was weak. I was weak to substance abuse. I was so in it, I couldn't see the damage that I was doing. I couldn't see the danger that was up ahead. I remember going to one of my court dates, and court-appointed lawyer came to see me. He laid out some pictures. When he laid out the pictures, it was the pictures of a little kid. Little kid in a hospital bed. Tubes, wires, machines hooked to him. And I was like, oh God, what have I done? What have I done? I hated me. I hated being who I was. And I still deal with the shame and the guilt. Every day I think about the people that I hurt. I think about that. I can't escape those thoughts. But I remember going back to my dorm after that, and I see this man came up to me. He came up to me and he said, son, you need to surrender to Jesus. And I'm like, who's Jesus? I didn't know who Jesus was. I was reading the Bible and I didn't know who Jesus was. So later that night, that's what I did. I surrendered. It didn't change nothing. My circumstances stood the same, but there was something in me that shifted. I had a desire to know who Jesus was. And from that point on, I began to study the Bible. I began to study scriptures, my obedience to the scriptures. I got involved in programs, and those programs have helped me. They've helped me be a better person. They helped me be aware of how the decisions, how they affected other people. And I'm so sorry for the lives that I hurt, all those people that I affected. I am, but I'm not that person anymore. I got like 17 years of rehab in. This prison has been rehab for me. Through this, I have retrained myself how to live. I think every day about the decisions that I made, how the drugs played a part in this, how the lives that I hurt because of my addiction. I was weak to it. I take full responsibility. I wish I could have gained control, but it had me. It had me, man. But I'm stronger. I'm stronger now. And I develop a hate. I got a hate for that lifestyle. Every day I think about people's lives that have changed because I couldn't control my addiction. And so I've developed a hatred towards that type of stuff. I know I'm not going back to that type of lifestyle. I'm not. I wrestle with the shame and guilt every day. I'm not going back to that. I'm not that person no more.
Okay, thank you very much for your comment. We have several people who want to speak in opposition today. The first person we're going to ask is the grandmother of the victim, Patricia Woodruff, and she is here at headquarters. And so if you'll just go to the podium and address the panel. About 3 minutes or so.
I'm Chandler's grandmother, my daughter, Emmy. With all that has happened back on that July 4th, took away our 5-year-old. From Chandler, and his whole life has been hospitals, doctors, surgery, seizures. Took away his childhood, took away his teen years, took away his adulthood. And he will always need his mom to take care of him. And there's not a day that don't go by. He don't want his brother. I have seen him take his good hand, but he can't use the left. I've seen him beat his mom and beg and cry to go to heaven to get hungry. And all because of choices that was made. And it was a habitual offender choice. It wasn't just the first time. And I do believe it's going to happen again. I really do. Within 6 months, he's going to be back because he's going to offend again. And I ask you, he was sentenced to 48 years. Let him serve it because my son, grandson, and my daughter, they're going to serve. They're subject to this until the day they die. They don't get a reprieve. They don't get parole. They don't get probation. And it's all day, every day with Chandler. And he's doing massive surgery on his head again. It's been a whole year in a helmet because they had to remove the bone back again. And he's on a feed because he doesn't eat very well. So mom has to give him the milk when he don't eat. I said their life is, that's it. I ask you, don't let him go, please.
Thank you for your comments. We also have Keisha Hart, the aunt of Chandler, and
Keisha, Chandler, and Logan's aunt. My mom pretty much summed it up. He talks a lot about the kids. He did it last time during the hearing. But at that time, he hadn't participated in anything. He doesn't even address, I know he's not allowed to address the drug, he has never showed any remorse to us, to his victim here, to anyone. So I really don't think he should yell. Yeah, I really, yeah, like my mom said, he's an habitual offender. Yes, he has served almost 17 years. Like you see, he won't do it again. There's no proof of that. And if you let him out now, and he does it again, he's gonna have another family. I just want to see that. No one should go through what we do every day.
thank you.
Chandler. I mean, we brought him here today because we can talk about it. But you see the damage he has done. You can see it, Chandler, every day. Yeah, he didn't have a chance to live like everyone else. His life is in a wheelchair. Because of those actions, his choices, what he chose to do, what he continued to choose. He had done this previously, or he would not have been a visual offender. I don't think he has changed. I can talk, anybody can talk a good game, but I don't believe him. Do not believe him at all.
Thank you so much for your comments. I do want to note for the record, Emmy and Daniel, the mother and father of the victim, are in the hearing today. Also, Father Charlie Woodruff. We are going to listen to Brett Summer, 21st JDC and Assistant DA.
Good morning. I'm with the DA's office in Livingston. We wanted to come and support the victims and voice our opposition. Again, this was a horrific case with victims. I find that in particular, vehicular homicide is one of the most preventable crimes that occurs. Especially, it's one that puts more innocent and just every possible member of the community at risk, just based on everyone is driving on the roads, as opposed to people who maybe put themselves in situations that they shouldn't be in. And ultimately, in this case, the judge at the time rendered this sentence based on all the facts in front of him. To grant him early release at parole would be an intervening act on y'all's behalf without the consent of anyone else. I think the judge rendered an appropriate sentence, and because of that and the victim's testimony before you today, we would ask that you would deny his parole.
Thank you, sir. And Tamika White is also from your office joining us, but is not going to be speaking. At this time, the case has been assigned to Mr. Tillis. Well, Mr. Tillis, you'll proceed.
DA. He spoke, the DA just spoke, didn't he?
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Landry, my name is Chuck Tillis, and I've gone through your case, read it several times, and I'm glad that you're trying to change and better yourself. So, and I've listened to you on your statement here now. So I have no more questions or any questions.
Mr. Barra?
I see in the file, there's notes that says you had been involved in a prior accident that killed your sister-in-law? Can you tell? What did?
I don't know. That was new to me. I haven't involved with a wreck that killed my sister-in-law. No,
Have involved in any other accidents where anybody got killed?
no, sir.
All right, thank you. That's the only question I have.
Mr. Landry, I think the panel is prepared to vote. Mr. Tiller?
My vote is to deny, considering the DA's decision and strong opposition of the family.
Mr. Barra?
I'm gonna also go to deny based on that you've only served 31% of your sentence, which is not much. For a case like this that involved two victims and one is deceased and the other one permanently disabled. So the 31% is really not enough time to even be considered.
My vote is also to deny based on those reasons. I would encourage you to continue your good conduct because you do have an opportunity to write back and laws have changed. So you need to be right up free for 3 years. But your case has been denied today and we wish you well.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. All right. Gotta wait for anything? I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Dixon Correctional, sir, you're before the Louisiana Committee on Parole. Today, serving on the panel to my left is Chuck Tillis, to my right, Danny Barra. My name is Jerry Ledoux. Would you please state your name and your DOC number for the record?
Douglas Blaine Perry, Senior, 771683.
Mr. Perry, I'm going to read some information from your file, after which time we will hear from you, and then we'll be asking questions. I find that you're a first felony offender. You're currently serving a 5-year sentence. Your parole eligibility date was April 21, 2024. You're not eligible for good time release, and your full term date is 8/22 of 2027. Does that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I also note for the record that you do have a detainer from the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Association that is still in effect. The crime for is molestation of a juvenile. Warden, would you have any comments to make about this offender?
Yes, ma'am. Short time that he's been here at DCI, he hadn't been any behavior problems, hadn't received any DV write-ups, and he's participated in a number of programs and completed them, and is currently enrolled in the small engine repair shop at the Botech.
Thank you very much. Mr. Perry, would you like to address the panel and tell us why you're here and why we should consider release for you today?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here on, of course, charges that were alleged against me back 7 years ago. But as then, I fought for 5 years to fight to show my innocence. But in 2022, I was put to the point of having to either take a plea deal or face 20 to 25 years in a place like this. And I took the plea deal because I didn't want to spend the rest of my life in a place like this for something that I didn't do. I've been told countless times to come in here and own up to whatever was, and I can't do that. I didn't do what I was charged with, and I've paid dearly for it the time I'm in here, and the 5 years I fought for my innocence. But while I was in here, I took the necessary course that I had to take to be able to get out of here, as well as courses that I felt that could better me as a person. I took an anger management course, which I'm sure everybody could could gain from that. I took a living in balance course. I took a parent nurturing and parenting class, and I found out at that time I was trying to raise my children when they were growing up as I was raised, and I'm a child of the 60s, and you can't do that in these days and time. So I learned a lot from these classes I took, but I'll stand to my innocence till I'm dead. So I'm hoping that I get a chance to get out and start over again.
You do have some people who would like to speak in support of you. We have 3 people. We'll go ahead and start with David Spencer, who is at DCI today. If you will, you can remain there, speak loudly, and please keep your comments to about 2 to 3 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead and address it now. Mr. Spencer, you can let us know what you have to say.
I've known Blaine for many years, best friends. I do believe what he's saying is the truth. I know he has a strong support system when he gets out. I know sounds like he has made some changes. more positive. Seems like he's really trying to help himself, even in his type of place. I just not too much sure what else to say. It's just I know he has my support. I know he has support of family and friends when he's out, and I know that for a fact.
Right. We're going to go to Curtis Perry, your brother, the offender's brother, and with him is Eva Perry, sister-in-law. So, Mr. Perry, you can do the same thing to address the panel.
This is my baby brother for 60 years. I have his back 100%. He will hold to whatever requirements that he has to stand with. I believe in him. I believe that he is innocent. I believe he does not belong in this joint, this place. And he has my full support, my wife's full support, my whole family's full support. And we will be sure that any kind of, if you do grant the parole for him, he will be held to accountability.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for those comments. We have Alicia Dorsey on Zoom, a friend who would like to speak. Okay, I think you might be on mute still. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So my husband and I, actually he's in the truck with me too, but we were told we could only have 3, but he said he is gonna still be here present, obviously. But so we have known Blaine I've known him since about 2009. We've interacted, he's pretty much been another father figure to one of our oldest. He's now 21, but he's been in his life since he was 5. And of course he would, pretty much guard him till the day he dies, I'm sure. And then we also have 2 littles that are now 10 and 6. And, I've definitely trust him for everything. And they love Blaine to death. And, we've encountered obviously different family functions, parties. We went to South Carolina to go see our oldest graduate from the Marines. He was present with us there. Also, he's always very willing to help, lend a helping hand with anything and everything possible. Even whenever David, our oldest, was growing up, he would, if him and his dad would ever get into an argument or anything like that, he'd be the one to try to resolve the situation or kind of be there for each of them. David Spencer being his dad, and he's a junior. He's always been definitely a father figure in his life too. So, but he's definitely a great friend of our family, and we're definitely going to be there to help support him whenever he does get out. We definitely want to see him out on the outside to spend time with our family and our littles actually call him Uncle Blaine. So we're definitely wanting to see him and give him all the love and support he may need outside.
Thank you very much. Yes, I did know that Herb Dorsey, friend, is also with you.
Yeah. Yeah, and Herb is very much of a very untrusting person, just random people. And he, Blaine's always been very courteous and, professional. And then we became family friends and, definitely had different, parties and stuff. And Herb says, we definitely want to extend the love for him. And even Herb's parents have had some different things. Blaine's been willing to help out and do different little things around the house since they're older. They're like in their 70s, late 70s. So they need definitely some people to help out around the house. And
okay.
Would we be able to tell one quick story real quick?
No, we're going to go ahead and we need to move on. But thank you so much for your comments. We do appreciate it.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
We're going to go ahead and move on to the victim side. We do have the victim in attendance, and she would like to speak. Haley Johnson, if you want to go ahead and just go to the podium and just keep your comments directed to the board. Sarah Smith, her mother will accompany her.
Dear members of the parole board, I'm writing this letter to express my strong opposition to the parole of this man who is currently incarcerated for stripping me of my childhood and doing terrible and unthinkable things. He took my privacy away, and to this day I'm still extremely affected by this. When I found out that Blaine was not my biological father a year after this incident, it made me feel worse and even more disgusted that he was the person that I was supposed to look up to and protect me, but instead got sexually assaulted by. I ask you, the parole board, to please deny the parole and have him finish his sentence. If you only continue to do these things if you grant this parole. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tamika White, with the 21st JDC, victim advocate is not going to speak, but Brett Summer, who is the ADA Livingston, is in opposition and would like to speak as well.
Good morning. Again, I also have Detective Jeff Beatty in here with me with the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. They're here to voice their opposition. And again, I'm with the 21st District Attorney's Office in Livingston. I just went back and checked the minutes just to confirm this. So Mr. Perry pled guilty to these charges in front of a court. It was not a no contest plea. It wasn't a best interest plea. So to come in here and tell the board today that he's innocent can only mean that he either is lying to y'all or he lied to the judge when he pled. He is not being truthful. And also for the board, he may be on paper a first offender, but he is not a factual first offender. The state filed a 412 motion in this case. We were prepared to put on evidence of similar acts that occurred with different victims in East Baton Rouge Parish and in Washington Parish. Additionally, this was a plea where he was sentenced to 10 years with 5 suspended. So he already received a benefit of 5 years suspended. I am really questioning why he's even eligible for parole at this time, being a sex offense. I think his percentage would probably be way too low, in my opinion, to even consider parole. I think his attitude before you clearly shows his refusal to accept responsibility and is kind of atypical with what we see of sex offenders. And it's somebody that you can expect to reoffend. Again, the sentence and deal that he received was not because of his actions or the evidence, but to spare the victims from having to go through a trial. He got the best deal he could possibly get. To give him parole now would be a slap in the face of the victims and would seriously deprecate the seriousness of his offenses.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your comments. At this time, we're going to ask Ms. Well, I guess it's my case. So, Mr. Perry, why weren't you heard last year? Were you up for a hearing last year?
Yes, ma'am. I was sent a paper from the state offering me, telling me of a parole hearing, but I hadn't had a chance to complete the risk management class. So I asked for a postponement till I could get that class taken care of, which I did successfully complete. And then where I was told that I could ask for the hearing after I finished it.
Okay. So I'm going to ask for some clarification. Is your victim a biological child or a non-biological child?
Non-biological.
How old are you?
58.
And you've only been in 2.5 years?
Yes, ma'am.
You did take a plea agreement.
I did at the time, according to my attorney, because of the issues that were going on. I was convicted in Livingston Parish, and with the issues going on with the deputy sheriff and his teacher wife at the time, my attorney said I probably would not get a fair hearing. So it would be to my best interest to take the plea, so I wouldn't have to be in here for so long.
I don't have other questions. Does anybody else have any questions?
Oh, yeah. In your statement, you said you're innocent.
Yes, sir.
And you said this is not true.
No, sir, this is not true. I never did anything like this. I've never forced my daughter to do anything to me, ever.
Do you, any reason to believe she would lie?
She's hated me ever since her mother and I split up. Her mother told me after 9 years of marriage and 2 kids that she was gay and she needed to be with the person she wanted to be with and had an affair on me. And she told everybody that I was a person that didn't want to be a family man, which is not true. I love my children. I love my daughter to this day, even though she said this. But I will stand by my innocence until I'm dead. I never, ever never, ever forced my child to do anything to me.
I have no more questions.
Anything? Okay. Mr. Perry, I'm prepared to vote. I appreciate that you have availed yourself to some programming. My vote is going to be to deny. You do still have a pending charge you're going to have to deal with. You've got an excellent plea bargain agreement, and I think the 5 years is an adequate sentence. So my vote's to deny. Mr. Thiels
I concur.
and Mr. Barrow.
And I concur. Deny.
You are denied today.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
What?
Good morning, or still morning, yes. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is holding hearings at headquarters in Baton Rouge. On the panel today, to my left is Chucky Tillis, to my right, Danny Barra. My name is Jerry Ledoux, and we are going to be hearing Mr. Vargas. Could you please state your name and your DOC number for the record?
My name is Umberto Vargas, 546618.
Okay, Mr. Vargas, you're before this panel today as a second felony offender, second class offender. You received a 20-year sentence for forcible rape and aggravated burglary. You had a parole eligibility date 6/14/2022. This is a rehear. You're not eligible for good time date, and you have a full term date of June 14th, 2025. Does that sound correct to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We're going to ask Warden, do you have some comments you would like to make about this case?
Yes, ma'am. He's been a pretty model inmate for the time he's been with us. He's only accumulated 5 DB reports since 2009, with his last one being in 2017. He's completed a pretty good amount of CTRP program classes, and been involved in several other programs and clubs and organizations. He also was one of the top kitchen hands we had working in the kitchen as a cook for probably 7 or 8 years there. And he kind of stays around here and does a lot of work up and down the walk for us, and does a real good job.
Thank you very much. Today we have Vanessa Rodriguez, your ex-wife, who would like to speak in support. If you'll go ahead and address the board, ma'am, and keep your comments to about 2 to 3 minutes.
Yes, can you hear me?
Can.
Yes, okay. Good afternoon. My name is Denise Rodriguez. I'm here on behalf of Umberto Vargas. I am his ex-wife, and throughout the years, I've noticed that he has had a change for the better, because he has helped me throughout my distress that I've had here and on the outside world with him not being in it. And I've noticed that he has had a big change with the way he reacts to things.
Okay. Well, thank you for your comments. We appreciate your attendance today.
Thank you.
So before we go to the opposition, I'm going to allow you, Mr. Vargas, to make any comments that you would like to make.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jose. I'm gonna do some translation for.
Dile que yo estoy arrepentido por todo el daño que le cometí a la víctima, a su familia.
He regrets so much for the damage that he caused to the family.
The victim of the family.
The victim of the family.
My family. Mi familia.
His own family.
Todo. Entiendo todo el dolor que ha causado, ¿me entiendes?
He's really sorry about the pain that he's been causing the family.
Porque yo tengo familia también, tengo hijas, tengo nietos, ¿me entiendes? Yo entiendo por mi mala decisión que he cometido, yo causé muchos problemas, ¿me entiendes? Y todavía me he arrepentido. Que si pudiera cambiar el pasado, lo cambiaría. No estuviéramos en esta situación ahora.
He regrets so much for all his family. He also got his own family, you know, and
que si yo pudiera cambiar el pasado, lo que pasó en aquel momento, lo cambiaría.
yeah.
Pero lo único que puedo cambiar es que yo, ¿cómo se puede decir? Yo rehabilitado.
He also have so much rehabilitation at DCI. He said that he's been during his 16 or 19 years that he's been a DCI.
No, no, say 15 years.
15 years.
20 years.
He's been learning a lot, and one more time, he very, very sorry for the pain.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll go ahead and allow Mr. Randy Myers, who is the Assistant District Attorney for Jefferson Parish, would like to speak in opposition to.
Good morning, Randall Myers, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. We're strongly opposed to Mr. Vargas's request for parole. There's strong victim opposition. The daughter, Ms. Davis, the victim, is online today, but is unable to speak in part due to the fact she's at work. Doesn't allow it. Her mother remains strongly opposed to his request for parole. English is her second language, and she's uncomfortable speaking with regard to that. Mr. Vargas has a history of domestic abuse. If you look back at his record in '97 in Ohio, he was arrested for domestic violence. In '99, this is over an 8-year period, he's had 4 domestic abuse offenses. '99 in Nevada, he was found guilty of battery with a deadly weapon, domestic violence. 2002 in Nevada, domestic violence battery, he pled guilty. And then this offense, this is a forcible rape. He stalked his victim, illegally entered her home while she was not there. When she came in, he actually hit the lady in the face with his fist, then brutally raped her. Someone like that deserves to serve his entire sentence incarcerated. He's currently in medium security, which is not bad, but it could be better. Showing he's not completely a strong inmate, and based on that, and although he has completed the sex offender treatment, I noted previously he had been removed from sex offender treatment at a previous hearing, prior to a previous hearing. So for those reasons and the strong victim opposition, we're opposed to his request.
For the record, I will note that Mr. Vargas is not a citizen, and you have an ICE detainer on you when you are released. How long have you been in the United States from Cuba?
1994.
Since 1994.
Legal citizen, United States.
All right, I have a question. You did so you were denied in 2021 because you hadn't taken sex offender treatment. And then you received certificates for all 4 phases of sex offender treatment in May of the next year. I want him to tell me how he accomplished all of that in 5 months, 6 months.
Okay. ¿Cómo hiciste para adquirir todos estos en tan poco tiempo, en 5 meses?
Estudié, lo propuse.
He really proposed, he really studied pretty hard and put a lot of dedication to make this happen.
So is it a a self-taught class, or was it facilitated? Did you have a teacher?
Again, one more time.
Did he do it self-paced, or did you have a facilitator?
No, lo hizo con el maestro.
Yeah, he did it also with his teacher. Did it with the teacher.
Okay. Do either of my colleagues have questions?
No, I don't have any. No.
Okay. At this time, I think the panel is prepared to vote. Mr. Vargas, my vote is going to be to deny parole. No. And You will be getting out very soon. You will have to answer for the ICE detainer. But your history of domestic violence is one of my greatest concerns. So, Mr. Tillis,
I concur, and my vote is to deny also.
Mr. Barra.
I vote to deny for the same reasons.
So today your request for relief has been denied. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone? Thank you, sir.
Humberto.
Sir?
Good morning. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is headquartered here in Baton Rouge for hearings. Today on the panel to my left is Mr. Thiels, to my right, Mr. Barra. My name is Jerry Ledoux. And we are going to allow you, sir, to introduce yourself and give us your DOC number.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Frankie Jacobs, DOC number 325572. And I'd like to say thank you all for being here this morning and for giving me the consideration for the possibility of parole.
Right. I'll tell you what we're going to be doing. We're going to read some information into the record. We're going to hear from the warden and you, and then we're going to allow some members who want to, of the entity who are in support of you speak. Sir, I find that you are a third class offender, that you are currently serving a 10-year sentence for domestic abuse battery, second domestic abuse battery. You have a parole eligibility date, January 8th, 2025, a good time date, March 26th, 2026, a full term date of 7/8/2028. Does that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Okay. Warden, would you like to make comments about the spender?
Yes, ma'am. For this time here, DCI, he hadn't accumulated any DB write-ups, hadn't been any behavior issues with him. He's completed several programming classes and a number of educational programs through the VOTEC. And he is also a PRIDE member here, which is, he hadn't had any write-ups since he's been here, which makes him eligible for PRIDE member.
Great, thank you very much. We have some individuals who are in support of you today that would like to speak. They're joining us via Zoom. And first we're going to allow them to speak, and then I'll get your statement, sir. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Julian Andrews, best friend.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep your comments to about 2 to 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'd just like to say that I'm here on behalf of Frankie. I've known Frankie since we were in 7th grade. We've been best of friends for years, and I know his family, and I'm a good friend. And so I just want to say that I have the ultimate faith in Frankie, that he is ready to re-enter society. He's always been a great person. He's always kept a job and worked hard. I've worked with him before personally. I've gone to high school, junior high with him. And so I've seen Frankie, work and support his brothers and sisters as far back as high school. I mean, he's just a good person, and I just have the ultimate faith that he has the support and of his family and friends that this would be a good opportunity for him to go ahead, and I think he'd be just a lot more productive on the outside.
Thank you very much. Tatiana Sims, fiance. You're still on mute. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. I'd like to say thank you guys for allowing me to have the opportunity to speak on Frankie's behalf. I am his fiance, and I'm a little nervous. I got some stuff. Is it okay if I wrote some stuff down so I could forget it? Okay. Okay, so like I said, I'm here to currently support Frankie, and I think that he had the opportunity to really change. I have seen it. First, I have to say that, and I'm going to say when he first went in, he was, a little hard-headed, and I have seen him change tremendously. It's like he took responsibility to what he did. He even went to the point where he asked me to go out and, send him books on self-help. He asked me to go talk to somebody, you know, by getting him an action plan. And this happened like maybe about 3 years ago, when he wanted me to go and speak with the young lady about, you know, getting him an action plan that follows so he can make sure he can contain, you know, his anger management issues. So I did that, and I spoke with Miss Sims, which said that she's willing to allow Frankie to come out, you know, if he get paroled, to come out and speak to her kids at least twice a month. And I think that would be a great idea. I think that would be great. That would keep him accountable. I'm going to keep him accountable. I just know that if he gets out, he's gonna do right. I know for sure.
I appreciate your comments today. We also have Jessica Jacobs' daughter who would like to speak. You'll go ahead and address the panel.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So I would just like to start off by saying that I know my father has made many mistakes in his life. In no way will I ever excuse anything that he has done. However, I do believe my father is a good man, a great father and confidant. I have always been able to talk to him about anything and count on him to come through for me, whether it was showing up for me at school, spending time with me, or helping with my basic necessities, or just making sure I stay on the right track. I have always felt loved by my father because he always tells me and show me. Sorry. I have not been able to see him physically since 2012, but no matter where he has been, he has never missed the opportunity to call in and check on me, never missed a birthday, would send me letters and drawings and stuff that I still have until this day because it meant so much to me and it showed me how much I meant to him. And I know that he is remorseful for the things he has done. And I know that he wish he could take it back. Although he would never be able to make up for the damage he has caused, I do believe he has had time to sit and think about his actions and how it affected everyone around him. So I just ask that y'all please give us this opportunity to make up for all the lost time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining. Tracy McGee's sister is in support, but does not wish to speak, or we've had our limit for speakers. So, Mr. Jacobs, at this time, would you address the panel, explain why you're where you are and why you think we should provide you with early relief?
Well, ma'am, since I came to prison, I had to take a long look at myself in the mirror, and I didn't like what I saw. I know I've hurt people. A lot of people I have hurt, I wasn't even cognizant of hurting them. And I apologize to the fullest to anybody that I have hurt. But before coming in, I was hard-headed. I was full of myself. I was an angry person who suppressed my anger, had suppressed anger. I was controlling, I was demanding. And just looking through it with clear lenses now, I wouldn't want to stay with anybody like myself. But I came here to prison, and a lot of guys were saying, well, those good time classes, they not legit, it's not authentic. But I'm here to say that they are real and they are authentic. Because if you come in and you want to change your life, you want to make a change for the better, you can come in, you can work these classes, and you could, if you're serious about making a change in your life, just get serious with it and be honest with yourself, you can make a change. And I know some things I did, even in my younger days, changed the whole trajectory of my life. going back to high school. 2 weeks after I turned 18, on a prom night, me and some buddies got with some young ladies, underage drinking, engaged in sexual activity, and her mother found out about it, and she was underage. She was 16 at the time, and I was charged with indecent behavior with a juvenile that was eventually dropped to contributing to the delinquency of a juvenile. But that was my first stint with law enforcement. I've stayed with women, men, throughout in my younger days, and I always wondered why I couldn't sustain a healthy relationship. And I had to stop pointing the finger, because every time you point the finger, you got three more pointing back at you. And I had to be accountable. It's time to be accountable. It's time to be honest with myself. It's time to be accountable and take accountability of things that I've done and the people that I've hurt. Before that, I was just going along and not even acknowledging it. And it's a shame to say that it took me to come to prison and to be able to be accepted of the things that I have done to hurt people. With my wife, ex-wife Yvette, and if she could hear this, I want her to know that I'm truly sorry. I'm very sorry for my actions. Nobody, no woman deserves to have any man that puts their hands on them or that would hurt them. If I could take it all back, I definitely would. I had nothing but time to lay in a hard bump and pray every day for her forgiveness. And I'm very sorry. And I'm sorry to her whole entire family. I'm sorry to her kids. I want to say I'm sorry to her kids. And I want to say I'm sorry to my daughter that we have together. Also my daughter Jessica. So I want to say I'm sorry to both of them, and that they could use my situation here as an example of what not to accept from a man. As well as my son, I'd like to let him know that this is not what it's supposed to be, that he should not be like his father, but be better than his father, be a better man than his father. I want to apologize to my mother for eventually becoming the person I always promised her I wouldn't be. And I wish she would accept my apology. I'm sure she will, but I want to say that I'm sorry for all the people that I have hurt, unknowingly hurt, knowingly hurt, purposely hurt. I truly from the bottom of my heart apologize. And I'd like to say thank you to Miss Thompson Sims for allowing me into her program. And I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Whitney, who also offered me a job upon release. But I can honestly say that I don't think I'm ready. I know I'm ready. I've had time to think. I've gained a lot of self-awareness, knowledge of self, and I've done a lot of reflecting. And I've read so many self-help books. I've taken classes, and one class in particular is the anger management class, which taught me to use my intelligence or my intellect over my emotions, and it gave me the necessary tools to navigate certain situations just here in prison. Potentially volatile situations, potentially toxic situations or conversation. And I could take this, and I can honestly say, ma'am, that I could use this on the outside.
I appreciate those comments and you coming to understand that. At this time, Mr. Tiller, do you have questions?
Mr. Jacob, I read your file, and listening to you now, it seems as though you have realize you've done some things that were bad. When I read the file about how you beat your wife, and that's not a good thing, but it seems you have remorse. I'm happy of that, and it seems like the warden is saying that you're doing a good job also, so I have no questions at this time, no more questions. You answered the questions that I wanted to hear.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Barra?
I have no questions.
Mr. Jacobs, I would like to point out just something for the record because I think it's important to note that you've had 30 prior arrests, 30.
Yes, sir.
7 prior domestic abuse battery and 2 simple battery. And you violated protective order 23 times.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm not going to give you that information without saying that you've attained some college courses and you've done some excellent things there in the facility. And
I've obtained my my associates. I'm currently working on my bachelor's. I'm about 2 semesters away.
which is amazing. And you using that intellect in a healthy way is very important. So I do want to make note of that for the record. Are we prepared to vote, Mr. Tillman?
Yes. I'm happy that you're doing some great things, and I think you're going to do better. The judge, the DA, the sheriff, chief of police, are all opposed. And I'm hoping that by the time you're released, that you will be a different individual. My vote today is to deny.
Mr. Barra.
I'm going to concur with Mr. Tillis. My vote to deny is due to extensive criminal history involving crimes against the person, strong law enforcement opposition, numerous violations of protective orders, arrested 30 times for 114 of crimes, with 94 of them crimes being against a person. That's not very good.
Jacobs, my vote is to deny. You can't change your history, but let's see what you're going to do until you have the opportunity to either write back or you're released, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Keep up the good work. You've been denied today. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Right.
All right, good afternoon. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is here in headquarters in Baton Rouge. On my left is Mr. Tillis, to my right is Mr. Barras. My name is Ms. Ledoux. And we are going to allow you, sir, to state your name and your DOC number for the record.
Kenneth Shelton, 521193.
521193. Okay, yes. So, Mr. Shelton, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then we'll ask you some questions. Sir, I find you're a second-class offender, that this is a rehear. You had a parole eligibility date of 3/11/2022. You're not eligible for good time, and you have a full-time date of 12/11/2025. You're serving a 7.5-year sentence for indecent behavior with a juvenile. Does that sound correct to you?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
That's correct. Okay. Warden, do you have any comments about the offender?
Yes, ma'am. He had, I think, one DB write-up since he's been here, and that was back in 2018. He's completed, several programs. He's also a Pride member. And I think his record speaks for itself.
All right. Mr. Shelton, why don't you tell me why you're here in front of us today, what you've done, and help us understand why we should give you early release.
Well, I'm here today to see about being paroled early. My charge is fake. It was made on a, see how I'm gonna say it, false claim. At the time, I was given this charge. I was in the Wynn Parish Medical Hospital in the ICU unit, and the date and the time do not match with the charge I was given.
So your medication impaired your decision to make a decision?
No, ma'am.
So you were taking medicine when you were charged. Did you go to trial? How were you found guilty? Did you plead guilty, or?
I went under a Alford plea that the judge gave me. There was no trial, no jury, none of that.
Judge made the decision.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But you pled guilty to it.
To an Alford plea, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Barra, do you have some questions for this offender?
No, just looking at the record, you know, the story that the girl told seemed to be consistent. It says this information remained consistent with the details provided during the interview conducted with the victim at the Rapides Child Advisory Center on April 20, 2016. So you're saying it's made up. You think this 5-year-old child had something against you? Can you tell me a little bit about why you think
she was
real?
Coached by a grandmother, sir. She was coached by a grandmother.
And what did her grandmother have against you?
That I guess my wife wasn't caring for her the same way, well, the way she wanted, the child to be cared for. This is not the first time, she's been rejected by people of child care. There's two more, people that wouldn't keep the child, period. This is the grandmother, not the mother. The mother probably don't even know nothing about this.
So telling me that the grandmother didn't like the way you were taking care of the child?
My wife, yes.
Your wife was taking care of the child?
Yes, child care program, yes.
The grandmother put the 5-year-old child up to going to the police and telling lies about you?
No, she did that part.
Well,
it's 4 years old.
The child is what I'm telling you at the Child Advocacy Center, and she told them a story.
Right.
That was consistent with what the grandmother, obviously, like you're saying, told her to say. Your story is just kind of a 5-year-old stuff up like that. 5-year-olds don't even know about it.
That's the only way I can tell it. That's the truth of it.
Well, that's why I'm asking you, because I'm trying to get to understand it. Because at 5 years old, you really don't even know about all them details yet.
Right.
That was the only question I had.
Mr. Tillis?
I don't have any questions.
So, I want to know what was the most important thing you've learned since you've been down, since you've been in classes? What's the best information that you've,
I've learned several things, but I'm a parent myself. I raised my two kids, me and my first wife, from the time they was born up till they left home out of high school.
when you've been incarcerated, you've taken several classes. What was the best class that you took?
Living in balance.
Okay. What did you learn in the living in balance that was good?
A little more different ways of living that we already live. But we just don't have violence or none of that in the home, no way. But living in balance is a good class to have.
Okay. Is the board prepared to vote?
Yes. Yes.
And so, Mr. Barra?
Yes. Today I'm gonna have to vote to deny parole due to the strong law enforcement opposition. Everybody in law enforcement is opposed to this one. The mother of the victim is still strongly opposed to this one. The seriousness of the crime committed on a 5-year-old victim has put some doubts in my mind, and the fact that you're scheduled to get out of jail next year, no matter what anyway. So take that extra year and try to learn a little bit more about how to be a better person like that. Thank you.
Mr. Tillett?
Okay,
I'm gonna vote to deny also, and I concur with Mr. Morris.
My vote is to deny. Sir, you'll be getting out. You'll have some registration issues, but please do your best so that you don't have to come see us again. Once you go ahead and get out and lead a good life, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much. You've been denied.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're signing off at Dixon Correctional. The time is now 12:24. Thank you so much, staff there.